Welcome, everyone. Finance Committee members, welcome back again. It's good to see you all. Let's get started. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the McLean County Board Tuesday, October 15th, 2019. And we'll have our invocation. Please rise by Member Bloomfield.
Today we pray that we are ever mindful of the opportunities to render our service to our fellow citizens and our community. Keeping in mind always the enduring values of life and freedom, we pray that you watch over our servicemen and women, both local and those who are deployed around the world for our defense. Keep them safe, out of harm's way, and in your care. We reaffirm our commitment to make ethical decisions in all that we do as we continue to bring our community together. And we give thanks for all of the blessings, opportunities, and responsibilities that befall us. May we move forward as one county with renewed spirit and discernment, optimism, and a commitment to service. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
County Clerk, please call the roll.
Carla Robustelli.
Present.
Susan Schaefer.
Here.
Logan Smith.
Here.
James Holner.
Here.
Gerald Thompson.
Present.
Shana Wachinski. George Wendt.
Present.
Lori Woolrab. Josh Barnett.
Present.
Jacob Beard.
Present.
Lindsay Bloomfield. William Casely.
Present.
Sharon Chung. Chuck Erickson.
Present.
William John Friedrich. Absent. George Gordon.
Here.
Elizabeth Johnston.
Here.
Randall Martin.
Here.
Catherine Metzger.
Present.
John McIntyre.
Present. We have 19 members present and one absent. We do have a quorum. We have no members of the public or county employees that have applied to speak today. So we'll go on to consent agenda item 6. I want to call your attention to item 6D, which is a transfer ordinance found on pages 23 and 24. And is there any dissenting votes to approve that? If not, we'll consider that approved unanimously. Is there a motion to, I have one more item I'd like to point out, and that's under 2A and the consent agenda under finance. That part, that resolution was actually put in the consent agenda back before, or when this packet was printed before on Friday from the finance. And so that has been changed now and will be moved, and I'm going to pull that one off and move it to the administrator's report, which is item C on the administrator's report farther down in our agenda under committee reports. Is there any objection to that? Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda as presented? Motion by Member Chung. Is there a second? Second by Member Johnston. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Then we will move on to item G, which is approval of resolutions and congratulations and commendations. At this time, I'd like to have Vice Chairman Soldner come to the podium along with Brandy Maxson. Is Brandy here? Who is principal of Tri-Valley Middle School. Welcome.
On? Yes, all right. Thank you. This gives me great pleasure to make this resolution to the middle school at Tri-Valley. My grandson Jackson started there this year, so I don't know whether this is in spite of him or because of him, but we'll say it's because of him. So I'm going to read this. Resolution of congratulations, whereas the McLean County Board wishes to recognize the outstanding accomplishment of Tri-Valley Middle School on being named a 2019 National Blue Ribbon School by the U.S. Secretary of Education. And whereas schools are nominated for the award by the State Department of Education and then complete a comprehensive application about school practices. And whereas the National Blue Ribbon Schools program honors public and private elementary, middle, and high schools where students achieve very high learning standards or making notable improvements in closing the achievement gap. Whereas the award affirms the hard work of students, educators, families, and communities in creating and safe and welcoming schools where students master challenging content. And whereas Tri-Valley Middle School is one of only 250 schools nationwide receiving this honor, now therefore be it resolved by the members of the McLean County Board that the staff, students, parents, community members of the Tri-Valley District are to be congratulated on their commitment to academic excellence, and Tri-Valley Middle School commended for being named a 2019 National Blue Ribbon School adopted in McLean County Board this 15th day of October 2019. So you want to just say a few words? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this recognition. It means a lot to the school. While I'm here to get it, I can't take the credit. It really belongs to our community, our students, and our staff. So thank you very much. I'll take this back to them and present it at our assembly next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the report of the standing committees. First off is the Executive Committee report, Chairman Soldner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Executive has one item to present today. A1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance, amending the McLean County fiscal year 2019 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance general fund 0001, county board 0001. It's in the fleet. This requires a 2/3 county board vote, and I so move.
Motion by Vice Chairman Soldner, second by Member Woolrab. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any dissenting votes to be recorded? If none, it's approved unanimously. Thank you, sir.
That's the only action item we have. There are numerous reports that are in the minutes, as well as the unapproved minutes of our executive meeting. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. You can't get off the stage yet. Finance Committee report is next.
Finance has no items today for action. Again, I will be glad to answer any questions. Our general report is found in the unapproved minutes.
Thank you. We'll move on to the report of the Health Committee, Chair Member Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has 3 items for action. C1A is request approval of an amendment to the McLean County Code, Article 18, Miscellaneous Code, Fees, Chapter 205, Section 205-95, Chapter 310, Sewage Disposal Systems, Water Wells, and Geothermal Exchange System Fees, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Schaefer, second by Member Martin. Comments or questions? Can't see out there. If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
C1B is request approval of amendment to McLean County Code, Article 18, Miscellaneous Code Fees, Chapter 205, Section 205-90, Chapter 216, Food Service Fees, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Schaefer. Is there a second? Second by Member Metzger. Comments or questions? Any discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
C1C is request approval of an ordinance, McLean County Board amending the 2019 Combined Annual Appropriation and Budget Ordinance for Fund 112, and this requires 2/3 vote, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Schaefer. Is there a second? Second by Member Kaisley. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Any dissenting votes to be recorded? If none, it is recorded passed unanimously. Thank you.
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Let's go on to the report of the Land Use and Development Committee. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Land Use and Development Committee has no items to be presented for action. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go on to the Transportation Committee. Chairman Kaisley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Committee brings no items for action, and our general report is found in the unapproved minutes.
Thank you, sir. We're going to report of the Property Committee. Chairman Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Property Committee brings no items for action this month. A copy of our general report may be found in the unapproved minutes packet.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the report of the Justice Committee. Chairman Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Justice Committee brings 3 items for action to the board this evening. Item G1A, request approval of an agreement with the Ann and Robert Laurie Children's Hospital of Illinois for development of the state unintentional drug overdose reporting system through the coroner's office, and I'll move that.
Motion by Chairman Gordon, second by Member Martin. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Item G1B, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2019 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance. This also comes through the coroner's office. It requires a 2/3 vote, and I move it.
Motion by Chairman Gordon, second by Member Thompson. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Any dissenting votes to be recorded? If not, it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item G1C, request approval of the subcontract/sub-grant agreement between Illinois CASA and the County of McLean, found on pages 72 through 94 in our packets, and I'll move that.
Motion by Chairman Gordon. Is there a second? Second by anybody? Member Beard? Comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Our general report will be found in the unapproved minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the report of the county administrator. Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring 4 items for action to be presented to the board. The first is H1A, which is to request approval to develop and implement an accounts payable policy for McLean County government.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Robustelli. Is there a second? Second by Member Smith. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Mr. Chairman, I bring forth item H1B, request approval to develop and implement an invoice payment workflow process policy for McLean County government.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Johnston, second by Member Woolrab. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Chairman, I bring forth item H1C, authorize the county administrator to enter into an agreement with an independent expert to provide recommendations regarding best practices in financial management for McLean County.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Bloomfield. Comments or questions? Member Barnett.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer an amendment to this motion. And before I read that out loud, if you will allow me, I have copies to pass out to the members.
Okay, thank you. Help clarify. We are on item H1C, administrative report.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the proposed amendment to item H1C on our agenda. I would propose that the amendment read instead, quote, to authorize the county administrator to enter into an agreement, if necessary, and in consultation with the Finance Committee, with an independent expert or experts to provide recommendations regarding best practices in financial management and develop financial policies and procedures for McLean County. The amendment text is underlined in the paper I've passed out here to everyone.
Does everyone have a copy? Motion amendment offered by Member Barnett. Is there a second?
Second
by
that
Member
motion.
Cade. Second by, we got 2 seconds here. So Member Wendt, with your permission, sir. Thank you. Second by Member Wendt. Comments, questions, or discussion? Member Johnston.
Thank you, Chairman. Looking over this and having attended to the meetings and unfortunately did not get some of the answers that I hoped at the meetings. I had hoped to hear some sort of plan coming out, and I know that this is what the amendment is supposed to be directed at. One of the concerns that I have is that there seems to be an operations issue happening with how the bills are getting paid and how they're moving through the process. And so I would ask that we make sure that within this, and I don't know if I need to make an amendment, that we ensure that whoever we contract with take a look at the operations procedure from vendor to the accounts payable to make sure that there's not any hiccups along the way that need to be addressed. So I'm not sure if I need an amendment for this or if that's,
Would
To be
anybody
part of
like
it.
to respond to that? My response would be, I think that's inherent in this procedure, and we're asking the administrator to do that, right? Would you like to speak to it?
I can speak to it briefly. It would be my intent to make that a part of this action. So I'm intent upon including all parties working together at the county administration and staff level to write these policies and procedures, and it would include the full extent of that process.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for an amendment right now. Member Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that I am concerned about is that the county has numerous grants in many different departments. The health department has many state and federal grants, highway department, the court system, even our behavioral health in administration has grants. And they're state and federal grants. And I am concerned, or I would like to make sure that how, if any best practices, make any changes, recommend anything, and when we create our policies, that it's very, very important to include grant information and how grants are recorded, because we had one issue once before with I think it was a federal grant, and I want to make sure that we do not lose anything because of some policy or practice that is not kosher with either the federal government or the state government or anybody else who happens to give out grants. And so, because we're very dependent upon those. So I would like to make sure that that is very much included in the process.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to the amendment? Member Solner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to support this amendment. I believe that this goes a long way to alleviate some of the concerns and fears that some members of the committee had as far as, maybe unnecessarily spending money that we don't necessarily need to spend. Obviously, if we find out after consulting with the Finance Committee that it's important that we go ahead and hire someone, then I believe that's a good idea. But again, at this point, it at least gives us an opportunity to discuss it. So I'm going to support this.
All right, thank you. Member Erickson, you had your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I understand the amendment, this is, last night we had discussed giving discretion to the county administrator in making this decision, I guess. Is this put in here to memorialize that understanding or to change substantively what we had discussed last night? I guess I'd ask Member Barnett.
Sure.
Sure. I think that this is to give the county administrator, is what my thought is, a little bit more flexibility in their approach to this, and at the same time, having the Finance Committee be a key partner in that and putting some checks and balances in place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Member Wendt?
Yeah, I think that this amendment is good because I think between some of our board members and some of our employees, we should be able to figure out our accounting system. It's really simple 101 accounting. I can tell you that.
Thank you, sir. Other comments? Member Gordon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just thinking back to the observations and suggestions that came from Member Johnston and Member Schaefer. I think there is a concern, and I share it, that this development of policies and procedures be as broad gauged as possible, to be as inclusive, to be as comprehensive as possible, to cover the sorts of things that both Member Johnson and Member Schaefer mentioned, and there may be other things that come up in the course of developing the policies. And I just hope that is the approach, that is the intent. I believe that it is. I was at the meeting last evening, and I got the sense that the Finance Committee, I think, also has that concern broadly, as do you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Call for the question.
Thank you. We are going to, We're going to have a roll call vote, and we're voting on the amendment as offered to our resolution H1C. And I'll ask the clerk to call the rolls, and the chairman will vote.
Carla Robustelli. Susan Schaefer. Logan Smith. James Zollner. Gerald Thompson. Shana Wachinsky. George Wendt. Lori Wolreb. Josh Barnett. Jacob Beard. Lindsay Bloomfield. William Casely. Sharon Chung. Chuck Erickson. George Gordon. Elizabeth Johnston. Randall Martin. Catherine Metzger. John McIntyre.
Yes. 19 members, yes, no, 0 no's. Motion has carried. Thank you, sir. Now we're back to the motion as amended at this time. We will vote on it. Is a request for a roll call or is a voice vote? Voice vote. Any other comments or question on the motion as amended? If none, we'll vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We'll move on. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. I do bring forth item H1D. However, in our discussions last night in the Special Finance Committee, I do note that this action item failed. So I bring it forward to you with a request to eliminate it from my request for action.
Okay, we'll eliminate that from the agenda without objection. Is there an objection? If none, then we will consider that deleted.
That concludes my action items. If I may, I have no general report, and I know that you are going to, or I, make mention of our behavioral health forum. So
Yes.
I didn't mean to take that away from you, Chairman, but you'll
Well,
get
thank
to
you.
that. It's a friendly reminder from me
Okay.
as your team member.
Well, good. That's why we have administrators, keep the chairman straight. Anybody here have a comment? And we're moving on now to business and communication. Member Soldner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like, I would like to congratulate and thank the people that work in this building for their diligence last Friday when the power was off. I happened to be here for a meeting and walked up 4 flights of stairs and walked down 4 flights of stairs. And luckily, I only had to do that once, but I know many of others had to do that more often. So I know it made it very hard to work, but I do know that a lot of work still got done. And so I think it's well known what the issue was, but if you want to just speak to that for a minute, I would appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Would you like to, Administrator? I know one thing, business went on as usual. It was a good workout, and there were people here that were able to keep going with that and in spirit with what we wanted to get accomplished. So, do you have a comment?
I can just speak briefly that the issue was not relative to any actions to the facilities maintenance of this building. There was a downtown, I think, underground sort of issue. And I'm also proud of all of the employees that work in this building. We collaborated with other buildings and went to work in theirs if we needed to, and we did walk a lot of stairs. I think some of the other tenants in this building might have gone home, but we prevailed. I'll note that. We prevailed, and the power came back on. So thank you for noting.
We have a separate power system for our IT department. Is that correct, Mr. Nelson? Thank you for allowing some people to come down and do business as usual. Anything else, Mr. Solner? I thought you were going to say something about getting the curtain for this smear here. It's not. Well, at this time, I'd like to remind everybody that Thursday is our annual mental health forum, and we've had a committee working on this. We've had great leadership in our Behavioral Health Coordinating Council Supervisor, Tricia Millott, and I'm going to invite Tricia to come up and say a few words about it to the podium. And hopefully everyone will come if you can find time to volunteer and help out and participate. It is a great forum, and it's been improving every year. And we're looking for a fun day and an informative day. And it's at the Marriott. Starts at the Marriott, the Normal Theater, 8 o'clock Thursday morning.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as the chairman indicated, our forum this year is at the Marriott, and I would encourage anyone who is thinking about coming to pre-register. As of a few moments ago, before the board meeting started, our registration was up to 249 people. And I will personally say how exciting that is to me. Last year at 7 a.m., the morning of the forum, we had 168 registered, and we had 199 attend last year. So for our registration today to be at 249 is phenomenal and really starts to serve what we're really trying to accomplish with the forum, which is increasing awareness and education and reducing stigma and really trying to spread the word to as many people in the community as possible. We've had a really great collaborative planning committee for this who prioritized trauma and trauma education as one of the key parts of this forum. And so our keynote speaker is over the lunch this year. And it's Dr. Elizabeth Vermalia, and she is coming in from California to speak on the ripple effects of trauma and community impact and resilience, to really address how trauma can impact every single person and that it has a part for your neighbor, for your students, for your parents, your teachers, your colleagues, and that it can impact how we function in the workplace. It can function how we function and sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought as I start to talk about this. But recognizing that it has an impact on everyone. She is also doing a breakout session immediately following her keynote on trauma-informed leadership, really trying to touch upon what individuals who are human resources professionals and leaders in their organizations and managers can take away and how they can impart that in their management styles. We have 27 breakout sessions. We always try to maintain that we have a session for everyone. And we've really tried to prioritize how the forum can apply to every member in our community. So as always, it is free to attend. The town of Normal is also donating, as one of our partners, they're donating the parking for the day, so parking is also available. Lunch is provided, so there is no fee for that. And we really couldn't do it without our partnerships and our planning committee. And so I hope everyone can attend. And if you plan to, please pre-register probably by noon tomorrow, because I'm going to start to shut registration off so we have a better sense of prioritizing lunches. But if not, you're still welcome to come during the day, and I hope to see everyone there.
Thank you, Ms. Millett. What time? We've had two great keynote speakers. When the keynote speakers at what, 11:30 or 12 for the lunch hour this year? 12:15. So if you're busy or got a job and you want to run by for lunch and listen to a great informative speaker about trauma, that'd be a good time for you to come by as well. Hopefully all of you can make it for more than that. We'll give you a free lunch, or I'll give you mine or something. We'll figure it out. Okay. Any other comments or questions or business at this time? Approval of bills. I have a total of $3,556,141.70. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Member Metzger, second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions or discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion has carried. I want to thank all the department heads and for enduring any confusion or extra problems that you've had here with our accounting system. And thank you for all hanging in there with us over these last few days as well. We'll see if we can get things straightened out. Thank you, and this meeting's adjourned.